pass on to Mr. Pillai. Thanks. Rosie, you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Swati. That was really good. That was a really good introduction to kind of set the scene, I think. So next we have our special address from Mr. Reji Kumar Pillai, who is the president of India Smart Grid Forum and also the chairman of Global Smart Energy Federation. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the participants from around the world. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this very important webinar on a very, very special subject. And flexibility is the biggest challenge for the electric power grid or electricity systems around the world today. Digitalization for flexibility is a very important topic. I compliment the organizers for selecting this topic and also thanking them for inviting me to deliver this special address. So power systems have changed drastically in the last 2 decades, primarily driven by the urgent need for decarbonizing the planet. Some of the key developments taking place are 137 countries, 330 cities, and 1249 companies have set their net zero targets. The country level 2035 is Finland, that's the earliest, and many other EU countries are somewhere in between in 2040 and 2050. India and a couple of other countries are 2070. So electrification has emerged as the main strategy for energy transition. Electrify everything and decarbonize the power sector. So it's estimated that over 2 billion machines that are presently run on fossil fuels are likely to be electrified in the coming decades. The global power generation capacity, which is around 8.5 to 9 terawatt today, is estimated to double to 17 to 18 terawatt by 2050 and to 25 terawatt by 2070 when all these countries achieve their net zero targets. So some people may be doubting that there are policy changes in certain countries. So at country level, there may be, but look at the 330 cities which I talked about and 1,249 companies, they have set net zero targets. And so more than 100 companies, large organizations like Meta, Apple, etc., they have set their net zero target at 2030. There are some companies from India also in that 2030 number. So at COP29 last year, 130 countries pledged to triple their renewable energy by 2035. And to have all this new generation resources connected, about 80 million kilometers of new transmission and distribution lines are to be built in next 25 to 30 years at a cost of $21 trillion. And this 80 million kilometer is equivalent to the existing global grid that we built in 130 years. It's a huge challenge. As many of you may be knowing, it was the electric grid that the scientific community chosen as the biggest scientific achievement of 20th century. It's not airplanes or mobile telephony or computers or the internet. It is the electric grid that made all other inventions possible. In a traditional grid that we were operating till last century, there were limited number of power stations that injected electricity into the grid, while millions of consumers drew power from the grid. The grid was designed, engineered, built, and operated for one-way flow of electricity. However, at the turn of 21st century, the power system started transformation with distributed generation resources or DERs, primarily solar panels and small wind turbines connected to the low voltage end of the grid or the distribution grid. Indian power system had few thousand points of power injection 2 decades ago, which has grown to over 2 million points now. And it is set to be over 10 million points by end of this decade. Just imagine the grid which we operated with a few thousand power generation resources, now we already have 2 million. Feeders with high concentration of rooftop solar systems are already experiencing reverse power flow and voltage fluctuations and huge variation in power flow pattern between day and night. This is impacting the power quality of the distribution grid and its management. Globally, by the end of 2024, there were about 2,200 gigawatt of solar installations, which is estimated to be 4,800 by 2030. And Interestingly, in the first half of this year, 2025, renewables generated more electricity than thermal plants for the first time. January to June 2025, renewables produced 5,702 terawatt hour or 5 billion units, while the thermal plants share was only 4,896 terawatt hour. So this is now going to be a irreversible path in which we are moving. So in India, we have exceeded 160 gigawatt of solar and wind. That non-fossil resources are already about 250 gigawatt, or half of the total installed capacity, close to 500 gigawatt. And this non-fossil share is expected to be more than 500 gigawatt by end of this decade. This is why, as I said, we already have 2 million plus generation resources connected to the grid. This is why flexibility has emerged as the critical element to manage the power system with increasing share of distributed energy resources. So flexibility is needed both in generation and in consumption. In the initial days when DER proliferation started in USA and Europe, power companies built gas turbines that could come online in minutes. When there is dip in solar generation or wind stopped. So, or when the solar generation goes off in the evening, they could start the gas turbines. However, this proven to be unsustainable economically. Hundreds of gas turbine power which were built in between 2005 and 2015, the actual utilization was few hundred hours in a year. So the plant load factor was very low. As a result, the power from those plants were very expensive, and they found it is not very sustainable, not scalable for accommodating more and more renewables. Then came the demand response. Aggregators came who could curtail consumption at customer side when the grid operators wanted it. That also didn't scale up beyond few gigawatts in North America, and that is also found to be not very important player which will help massive renewable scale up. So next thing was power planners opted for energy storage systems, batteries, pump storage plant, and various other energy storage technologies. In the last couple of years, lithium-ion batteries based storage system have emerged as the leader of this segment. As of now, there is about 375 gigawatt of battery energy storage systems installed globally, of which 200 gigawatt hour was installed only in 2024, out of which 100 gigawatt hour is installed in China. And the price has come down so much that many other technologies may find it very difficult to compete with the BESS built on LFP batteries. India today has about 500 megawatt hour of BESS commission. About 10 gigawatt hour are under various stages of installation, contracting, tendering. The digital tools have emerged as very essential for management of this distributed energy resources. Digitalization of utilities is the priority everywhere. In India, we are rolling out about 250 million smart meters for all electricity consumers on fast track. So smart meter data will help utilities estimate power demand on each feeder on hourly basis accurately, and that will help better scheduling and dispatch. Utilities should prepare appropriate digitalization roadmap and pursue the same. UK power networks have one of the best digitalization roadmap which I have studied across the globe. So this is a partnership platform which could help in Indian utilities study and adopt similar roadmaps which has been done in UK. Another important intervention ISGF has been advocating is smart inverters. We have worked with Bureau of Indian Standard for adoption of IEEE 1547 2018 version of the standard as an Indian standard. In January this year, BIS issued IS 18968-2025. These are standards for smart inverters It can be monitored and controlled remotely. They have voltage and frequency right through capabilities. We are arguing for smart inverters for all new DER connections. DER connected through some smart inverters offer flexibility to the distribution grid. Vehicle to grid technology is another important technology.
Sorry, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to start to move on to the next speaker. Could you move to
I take 1 or 2 minutes more only. So, vehicle to grid technology with both electric vehicles with V2G functionalities connected to the same low voltage grid where you have too many rooftops. Both of them can support each other. It's complementary. When there is dip in the solar generation, the EVs can pump electricity, and also when there is surplus generation, it can be stored in EV batteries. So digital twin is another important tool which becoming popular in utilities. Digital replica of the physical grid, which different scenarios can be simulated and analyzed. Grid upgrades can be done accordingly. And you are all familiar with the term prosumers, those who are generators and consumers. The latest entrant are flexumers, those who can provide flexibility services to the grid. If a person is in a multi-storied building in the middle somewhere, there's no way he can be a prosumer, but he can be a flexumer with a battery in his apartment. Buy electricity during off-peak hours and store it in the battery. Consume the stored power during peak hours or send it back to the grid. So for proper management, all the above interventions I mentioned about, utilities must install distributed energy resource management systems or a digital platform that can remotely monitor and control all this distributed energy resources. Thank you very much.
Amazing, thank you. So to move on to our next speaker, we've got Dave Evans, who is a senior advisor, part of